watching CBS 2 News this morning in high definition.
Joining us now is Monsignor Thomas Nydegger from Seton Hall University. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you very much.
Now, what were your thoughts as we were watching this together?
Well, as I was watching it, I was really thinking that the significance of this event really cannot be measured or cannot be anticipated, really. I mean, while we focus our attention on Cardinal Dolan and perhaps even on Cardinal O'Brien, there's 22 men who have been elevated to the Cardinal, and they will, as the Pope's closest advisors, really set a course, and some of the decisions and the way they are will have profound impact on the Church throughout the world. And so it is it's a very significant event.
Monsignor Nydegger, thank you so much for coming in this morning.
It's good to be with you.
We're going to go now to tell you a little bit about what can be expected. And now, Timothy Cardinal Dolan, we have to get used to saying it that way. His trip to the Vatican doesn't end here.
It's going to be a busy few days for him and the New Yorkers who also made the pilgrimage. In just a few minutes, there will be a reception at the Pontifical North American College. And later today, the new Cardinals will receive family and friends at the Vatican.
And tomorrow, St. Peter.
This morning is Monsignor Thomas Nydegger from Seton Hall University with some insight into the consistory. Now, you were there a few years ago when Cardinal McCarrick was elevated.
Yes.
Tell us what it's like to be there.
Yes, it was a little bit different back then, only because when I attended that consistory, the consistory was actually outside in the St. Peter's Square. And so the feel was probably very, very different, although you are impressed by the surroundings. But being inside the cathedral, the basilica itself was probably, again, people were probably moved by the pomp and circumstance of the event, but also by the environment of that was there, and what was going on, certainly with the Pope present. And so you're really, really reminded through what's happening and through the prayers that are said of the momentous occasion that this really, really is in the life of the Church overall, the Church universal, but particularly in this case for the life of the Church in the United States, with two of our own, and life here certainly in the Archdiocese of New York. Very, very profound change for Cardinal Dolan, and will bring about those same changes for the Archdiocese of New York.
Tony described him as being the rock star because he, as we know him, he has a great sense of humor.
Yes.
But also to fit in with Pope Benedict's church, he has to be conservative as well. So he actually ticks off both of those boxes, doesn't he? He's popular, but he also follows the teachings of the current Pope.
Yeah, he manages to strike a balance, which is it can be very, very difficult and challenging to do, because on one hand he can be seen and is very, very friendly, very welcoming, you know, very, very tactile, as they said during the broadcast. But he's also very much, you know, filled with orthodoxy and with the teachings of the Church. And I think perhaps what could be the hallmark for Cardinal Dolan is the reality that he is so open to dialogue and to discussion, even on the tough issues that confront the Church today.
All right.
Monsignor, thank you so much for being here.
And the ceremony does not conclude. Cardinal Dolan.
This morning is Monsignor Thomas Nydegger from Seton Hall University. Good morning.
Hi, Cindy. Good morning.
Now, we've all talked about Cardinal Dolan's bigger-than-life personality. How is that going to help in a lot of the issues that are facing the Catholic Church? Well,
I think it will put a much friendlier face on what can oftentimes be perceived to be a much more hard-nosed kind of approach. And so I think it will soften at least the way the message is delivered to a degree, but will not lose its force or lose its strength. One of the things that I think we can notice about Cardinal Dolan is his consistency. I think he's very, very consistent. Whether he's talking to the Pope, whether he's greeting his fellow cardinals, whether he's talking to a reporter, or whether he's simply engaging one of the many people that are with him in Rome, he seems to have that same demeanor, that same kind of disposition. And I think, you know, you can see that consistency even when he walked up to the throne and when he knelt before the Pope, and the Pope had a big smile on his face, and he had that typical Cardinal Dolan style, and I think that consistency that you see there will be reflected in his loyalty to the church, his loyalty to the teaching, and his ability to communicate that and listen to what others have to say in response to that.
The Catholic Church has been called the world's largest corporation, and not to take the spiritual element out of this, but this is in effect a promotion for him. A lot of people are going to be wondering, does he get a raise? What changes in his responsibility in his life will take place now?
Well, I think it will be reflective of a monumental change in how his life will be lived. He already has, as the Archbishop of New York and as the President of the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, many responsibilities, many jobs, and many things to do in connection with them. And any one of them alone would be a big enough job for anyone to accomplish. Now add this onto it, which will bring with it immeasurably more responsibilities in connection with Rome and here. Unfortunately, I don't believe it comes with a pay raise. but
a few perks.
A few perks, exactly.
A few more trips to Italy, perhaps. Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Monsignor,
Thank you so much.
You're watching CBS 2 News This Morning in high definition.
The new position he holds with the Catholic Church, but could Timothy Cardinal Dolan become the first American-born pope?
I spoke with Monsignor Thomas Nydegger from Seton Hall University about that and how that personality can help the church with some of the challenges it faces.
I think it has already demonstrated that it is it's going to be very effective for him in terms of interacting, engaging, and teaching and guiding the people of his archdiocese. I think it has proven that in the past for him, and I think it will stand true as he continues as the cardinal, perhaps even more so because of the dignity and the rank that comes with being the cardinal. As we saw during the ceremony, he is going to be who he is, and that will probably not change, and I say that in the best sense of the word, but he will continue being who he is, even as a cardinal of the church, and will really promote that same demeanor and the same causes and the same teaching that he has for his entire priesthood.
And he has such a great way, such an inclusive way about him.
Yes.
We were talking about when he heard that he was going to be elevated, how it was really a celebration for all New Yorkers.
Yes, yes, it really was. One of the analogies that he had made was, and I think it's worth noting, is it was like giving a red hat to the Empire State Building and the Statue of Liberty. But that was his typical way of trying to shift the attention away from himself. As much as his personality draws people into him, it was as much him trying to acknowledge the reality of the people of the Archdiocese of New York, the people of the United States, and the people in America here whom the Holy Father regards important by this naming and by this designation and by this elevation. He, tongue-in-cheek even said that many people might think that the people of New York are not religious, and he said quite the contrary. And he really, in a very public fashion, said the people of New York are a very religious people, and so I think he's a shepherd, he's a guide, he's an advocate, and he will always be consistent in that regard, as friendly and as gregarious as he is.
He's so much fun to cover.
Yes.
What do you think? I mean, many are asking what the chances are that he would ever become pope.
The likelihood, for historical reasons, that certainly in reality he could be elected pope. He is eligible, he has the credentials, he has the ability, he has everything that it would certainly take. But, a lot of considerations, a lot of factors, and a lot of historical reasons come into play, and it would, while it could be possible, it would probably not be probable, only because of those historical strains that have gone through. But you know what? I mean, anything...
One being from the United States.
Yes, one being from the United States. But you know what? There always has to be a first, and if anyone can be that first, it could be Cardinal Dolan.
Stay with CBS 2 and CBSNewYork.com for continuing coverage of New York's new cardinal. We'll have live reports from the Vatican tonight on CBS 2 News at 6:30.
And Vanessa's here now.